Yo, welcome back. We've got another one. How do birds learn how to fly? Obviously, they wing it. Duh. All right, let's get to it. We have got a slightly complicated one today. Now, today we're talking about these things called non-monics. So we did monics last lesson, which meant it was a singular x squared, non meaning it's not singular x squared. So now we have a number in front of that x squared. So it could be anything like 2x squared, 3x squared, 18x squared, anything that has a 2 or a non-1 x squared. Okay, hopefully that makes sense. Trinomials still mean 3. Quadratic still means some sort of x squared. Non-monic just means that we have some sort of non-1 number. So it could be 2x squared, 3x squared, etc. Okay. Now there's a slightly different method. It's going to feel the same for a bit, but then we've got a couple extra steps for this because it is probably as difficult as this topic is going to get for now. Okay, so we've got this. How do we do this? I'm still going to use the PSF method. Now this time the product's going to be slightly different. Okay, it's going to be the product's going to be the first term multiplied with the last term. Okay, your sum is still the middle term. And then we find our factors, okay, which is the two numbers. Okay, now after that, this will be helpful to write down, so you may need to pause it at this point. We want to use the factors to split the middle term, and then after that, we want to factorize by grouping. Now, this sounds a lot more complicated than it is. It's just a lot of steps, so bear with me, okay? So I've got something like this. Factorize 2x squared plus 3x plus 1. So I'm going to see if I can keep that. It's not quite going to fit. That's okay. So for product, I want to go first term times the last term. So my product is, I want my first term, which is going to be 2, times my last term, which is 1. So that means I want a product of 2. My sum is I want a product of, I want a sum of 3. And so I'm going to think my factors. What are two numbers that multiply to give me 2, but sum to give me 3? It obviously has to be 2 and 1. Now, with that, I've done this first part. I've done the PSF. I've altered it. So that means I've done the first term times the last term. Now, I want to use the factors to split the middle term. Now, what I mean by that is I'm going to rewrite it. And I'm going to say 2x squared. But now, instead of writing plus 3x, I'm going to write plus 2x plus x. And then plus 1. Now, I want to see if this makes sense to you. Can you see that this is still 3x, which is kind of like this guy here? It's just that I have now split the middle term into these two different terms. Okay. So now I've got 4 terms. And whenever we have 4 terms, we factorize by grouping. Okay. Now, with all these questions that I give you, they should work nicely by factorizing in groups. So let's do this in groups. Okay, common factor between 2x squared and 2x is going to be 2x. And so for this first one, it'll be 2x bracket x plus 1. And then for plus x plus 1, there's no common factor. So I'm just going to take out a common factor of 1. And then what's left in the bracket is x plus 1. So at this point, you can see that I have a common bracket. And so this is where we factorize by grouping. That first common bracket goes out front, and the second bracket is whatever's left. So 2x plus 1. Okay. Hopefully that makes some sense. Okay, there's a bit of a process to it, but let's try again. Let's go P, S, F. So now our product is going to be first term times your last term, which in this case is minus 24. Your sum is going to be 10. And so I want to think of two numbers that will multiply to give me minus 24, but add to give me 10. So I'm thinking it will be 12 and minus 2. Okay, so 12 times minus 2 is minus 24. 12, take away 2 is 10. Okay, so we're good. So what this means now, we're going to break up our middle term. So I'm going to go 3x squared, and I'm going to go plus 12x minus 2x minus 8. Okay, so remember, all I've done here is I have split the middle term into my two factor terms. Okay, so I've changed that into 10x, and keep a note, you guys need to make sure that this makes sense, that this is still 10x. It's just I've written it out. Okay, now you got 4 terms. Let's factorize by grouping, which means for the first term, I can see we have a common factor of 3x, leaving me with 3x, bracket x plus 4. And here I've got a common factor of minus 2. This will be x, and be careful, this one will be plus 4 as well, because a minus times a positive gives you a negative. So we've got that. And what's nice is your brackets should be common. So that means your first bracket is x plus 4, and your second bracket is what's left, which is 3x minus 2. And that's that factorized. Okay, one last one. PSF. So if I'm looking here, product of first and last term, 2 times minus 21 is minus 42. And then here, my sum should be positive 1. So I'm trying to think what 2 numbers will multiply to give me 42, but add to give me 1. I'm looking at this and I'm thinking 6 and 7. Now, one of them has to be negative. It's going to have to be minus 6, because 7 times minus 6 now gives negative 42. But 7 take away 6 is now positive 1. So we're good. So, all right, so continuing on, we've got 2x squared. I'm going to go this way, minus 6x plus 7x minus 21. 4 terms means we group in pairs, which means common factor of the first 2 is 2x, x minus 3. And then the next common factor will be, in this case, 7, bracket x minus 3. Oh, looky here, we've got 2 common brackets, which means that x minus 3 is one bracket, and then your second bracket is 2x plus 7. Okay, definitely a harder one today. All the best, good luck, take it slow, work together, and good luck. Catch you guys later. Bye.